The lunch bell echoed through the large metal corridors of Orion City School, a place where humans and a few alien children studied together, but never really mixed. The children rushed out, laughing, shouting, running. Some sat under the silver trees, some gathered around the hologram games. But Ella, a quiet 12-year-old girl with brown hair and a soft heart, walked to her favorite spot near the school gate. She liked to eat alone, away from the noise. She opened her small metal lunchbox. Inside were 2 sandwiches, a piece of fruit, and her favorite chocolate bar. Her mother always packed it neatly. She smiled and was about to take a bite when she saw movement near the broken fence. There, half hidden behind the iron railing, stood a small alien girl. Her skin was light blue, her eyes wide and glowing faintly under the sunlight. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She looked thin, so thin it hurt to look at her. Ella froze. No one from her school ever spoke to aliens from the slums. People said they were dangerous, that they carried strange diseases, that they were thieves. But this girl didn't look dangerous. She looked hungry. The alien girl's eyes fell on the sandwich in Ella's hand. Her stomach growled so loudly that even from a distance Ella could hear it. For a long second, both girls stared at each other, human and alien, 2 children from different worlds, connected by hunger and kindness. Ella hesitated. She looked around. Other kids were busy. No one was watching. Slowly, she took the second sandwich from her lunchbox. She stood up and walked toward the fence. The alien girl flinched back like a frightened animal, her big eyes filled with fear. "It's okay," Ella said softly. "I won't hurt you." She pushed the sandwich through the gap in the fence. "Here, you can have this." The alien girl looked at it as if it were something sacred. Her small blue hands trembled as she took it. For a moment she just stared at it, unsure if it was real. Then slowly she took a tiny bite. Ella watched her eat. Every bite looked like relief and pain mixed together. Relief because she was eating, pain because she hadn't eaten in a long time. "Do you like it?" Ella asked with a shy smile. The alien girl nodded quickly, crumbs falling from her mouth. "It's good," she whispered in a small, broken human language. Ella sat down on her side of the fence. The alien girl sat on the other. For a few minutes they just sat there in silence, 2 little girls sharing peace in a world full of walls. Then, Ella took out her chocolate bar. She broke it in half and offered 1 piece through the fence. The alien girl's eyes widened again, this time in wonder. "Sweet," she whispered after the first taste, smiling for the first time. Ella giggled. "You like chocolate?" "Yes," the alien said, nodding. "It's warm." Ella didn't understand what she meant, but she smiled anyway. From across the street, someone was watching. A man stood near a black hover car. His expression was hard, his jaw tense. It was Mark Hensley, Ella's father. He had been picking her up from school like always. But today, what he saw froze his heart. His daughter was feeding an alien girl, the same kind of alien he had spent years trying to forget. His past flashed before him, memories of war, of fire, of blue faces screaming in the dark. He clenched his fists. When Ella finally walked back toward the car, he tried to smile, but his voice shook. "Who was that girl?" "Just someone who was hungry," Ella said simply, wiping chocolate from her fingers. Mark didn't reply. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. The words she had spoken, "someone who was hungry," echoed painfully in his mind. At home, Ella talked about the alien girl while eating dinner. Her mother looked uneasy, but Ella was smiling, full of innocence. "She was so small, Mom," Ella said, and her eyes were so sad. "I think she doesn't have anyone." Mark said nothing. He stared at his food but wasn't really eating. When Ella went to bed, he walked to the window. The night outside was dark, filled with the lights of the distant alien district, cold and forgotten. He whispered to himself, "Not again. Not them." He turned off the light, but sleep didn't come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that little alien girl's face, and the memory of what he did long ago burned inside him like a wound that never healed. The next morning, as Ella packed her bag, she added 1 extra sandwich. Her father noticed. "Why extra?" he asked. Ella smiled innocently. "For my friend." Mark's heart stopped for a second. His face turned pale. He wanted to say no, to forbid her, but the words caught in his throat. He just nodded slowly. "Be careful, Ella," he whispered. As she left for school, Mark looked at her from the window. The sunlight touched her hair. For a moment she looked like her late mother, kind and fearless. But he knew kindness had a cost in this world. And as he watched her disappear down the street, he whispered the words that no child should ever hear. She doesn't know that kindness can kill. That night the city outside was glowing under silver streetlights. But inside the small Hensley apartment everything was quiet. Too quiet. Ella had already gone to bed. She was dreaming softly, clutching her teddy bear. But Mark Hensley, her father, sat alone in the living room, staring at nothing. The clock ticked slowly. His hands were shaking, even though the room was warm. The picture of that little alien girl wouldn't leave his mind. The blue skin, the glowing eyes, the look of fear. He had seen it all before, years ago, during the war. He stood up suddenly and walked to the old study room. The door creaked as it opened. Inside, dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. Against the wall stood a metal cabinet with a rusty lock. He reached for the small key he always kept hidden in his wallet. Click. The lock opened. Mark pulled out a metal box, scratched and cold. For a long time he just stared at it. His breath grew heavy. Then he slowly lifted the lid. Inside were a few old things. A small photo yellowed with age. A silver badge with a military mark. And a blood-stained cloth folded neatly. He picked up the photo. In it, a younger Mark was smiling awkwardly beside a group of soldiers. And standing next to them was an alien woman. Her eyes were the same color as the little girl's. He whispered, "No, it can't be." His chest felt tight. He remembered the last day of the campaign, the burning alien village, the screams, the chaos. He had been a soldier back then, following orders, destroying anything that moved. But that woman, he had spared her. He couldn't pull the trigger. He helped her escape with her children. He thought they all died later in the forest, but now, after so many years, he saw one of them again, alive, standing near his daughter. Mark covered his face with his hands. "What have I done?" he whispered.
"What kind of world did I make for them?"
The next morning, Ella woke up early. She was full of excitement. She packed an extra sandwich again and carefully hid it in her bag. "Going early today?" Mark asked as he poured his coffee. "Yes," she said with a smile. "Rena might be hungry again." "Rena?" he repeated sharply. "Oh, that's her name," Ella said happily. "The alien girl. I asked her yesterday. She's really nice, Dad. She even said thank you." Mark froze. He set his cup down slowly. "Ella, I told you not to go near her again." Her smile faded. "But why?" "She didn't do anything wrong." Mark sighed deeply. "You don't understand, sweetheart. There are things about her people. Things you don't know." "Then tell me," she said softly. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words didn't come. How could he tell his daughter that he once helped destroy her new friend's family? That he was part of the reason the alien girl was alone and starving? He just shook his head. "Promise me, Ella, stay away from her, please." She frowned, but nodded slowly. "Okay, Dad." But inside, she knew she wouldn't keep that promise. That evening, Mark sat on the couch, staring at the city skyline through the window. The alien district glowed faintly in the distance, tall towers of steel mixed with broken houses and dust. He turned on the holovision. News played quietly. Alien families continue to struggle for survival. Officials say integration programs have failed. He changed the channel quickly. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to remember, but the guilt wouldn't stop. The face of the alien girl kept appearing in his mind, hungry, scared, innocent. He whispered, "If she's really from that village, then she must hate us all." A soft sound interrupted his thoughts. It came from Ella's room. He walked quietly down the hallway and opened the door. Ella was sleeping peacefully, her arm around her teddy bear. But beside her bed on the floor was her school bag. The zipper was open. Inside he saw another lunchbox, and inside that extra food. His chest tightened again. "She's still going to see her," he murmured. He sat on the edge of her bed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You got her heart, kid, but not my fear." He looked at the night sky again. If only kindness could erase the past. Later, when the house was quiet, Mark returned to his study. He took out a small data chip from the metal box and placed it in the projector. The screen lit up with shaky, old footage, soldiers in armor, alien villages burning. The sound of screams. Then the camera turned, and showed a small alien child with glowing eyes running into the woods. A soldier shouted, "Let her go! She's harmless!" Mark froze the image. The child in the video had the same glowing eyes as the girl Ella met. He whispered, voice trembling, "It's her. She survived." He leaned back, covering his face. Memories rushed back like fire. Orders shouted, people crying, his hands shaking on the gun. And now, fate had brought that child to his doorstep. To his daughter. And now fate had brought that child to his doorstep. To his daughter. He stood up, his voice breaking. If she knows who I am. If she remembers. He didn't finish the sentence because deep inside he wasn't afraid for himself. He was afraid for Ella. He walked to her door once more, watching her sleep. "I'll protect you," he whispered, "even if I have to face the ghosts I made." The morning sky over Orion City was soft and golden. The air smelled like wet steel and sweet bread from the nearby food stalls. Children walked to school laughing, their metallic shoes tapping on the ground. Among them, Ella Hensley walked quietly, holding her lunchbox close. Inside it, she had packed an extra sandwich again, one for herself, and one for the little alien girl. Her father's warning still echoed in her head. "Promise me, Ella, stay away from her." But Ella couldn't forget Rena's hungry eyes, the way she had smiled after eating chocolate for the first time. That smile felt more real than anything else in her day. So she decided to go back. At lunch break, Ella slipped away from the crowd and walked toward the broken fence behind the school. The air there was quieter, filled with the buzz of old machines from the nearby repair yards. Her heart beat fast as she looked around. For a moment she worried. What if Rena wasn't there? Then she saw movement. Behind the cracked fountain, a small blue figure peeked out shyly. Rena, her clothes were still torn, but her eyes brightened when she saw Ella. "You came back," she said in her soft, broken voice. Ella smiled. "Of course. I brought you something." She opened the lunchbox and pushed the sandwich through the fence again. But this time, instead of standing apart, Ella sat down right beside the fence. She watched Rena eat. "You eat so fast," Ella said with a laugh. Rena blushed faintly. "I don't eat every day." The words hit Ella like a punch. She didn't know what to say. No one should live like that, not even aliens. So she asked, "Do you have a home?" Rena looked away. "Not really. Just walls. No roof." A short silence followed. Ella felt a lump in her throat. "That's not fair," she whispered. Rena tilted her head, curious. "Fair? It means—" Ella tried to explain. "It means people should treat you the same. You're just like us," Rena gave a sad smile. "Not to them." The two girls sat for a while talking in simple words. Rena told her about the slum colony where she lived, broken lights, empty pipes, and the cold nights that made her bones ache. Ella listened, eyes wide, realizing for the first time how different life was beyond the shiny city walls. But as they talked, a small hovering sound passed above them. Neither of them noticed. It was a camera drone, its lens glowing red, recording everything. "Do you have friends?" Ella asked gently. Rena shook her head. "They run away when humans come. They say, 'Humans don't like us.'" Ella's face hardened. "Well, I like you." Rena looked surprised. "You do?" "Yes," Ella said. "Because you're kind. And you smile funny." Rena giggled. It was a sound like tiny bells, light and pure. For the first time, she felt safe. Then from behind the wall, a harsh voice shouted, "Ella, what are you doing there?" It was one of her teachers. Ella jumped up, startled. I was just—" But when she turned back, Rena was gone, vanished behind the fountain like a shadow. The teacher frowned. "Stay away from the fence. It's unsafe." Ella nodded quickly, pretending nothing happened. But as she walked back toward the building, she whispered, "I'll come again, Rena, I promise." That night, in another part of the city, a man in a dark uniform watched a video on his screen. It showed a human child feeding an alien through the fence. The logo on the corner of the video read, Human Guard Network. The man paused the footage. Name? His assistant replied, Ella Hensley. Daughter of Mark Hensley, former military engineer, retired. The man narrowed his eyes. Interesting. Send a patrol to confirm. Meanwhile, Mark Hensley sat at home, his hands still stained with oil from his repair job. He turned on the holovision to relax and froze. On the news feed, a short clip played. A blurry image of a human girl giving food to an alien through a fence. The anchor's voice said, Security footage shows human interaction with an unregistered alien child in the southern sector. Citizens are reminded that contact with unverified aliens is strictly forbidden. Mark's blood turned cold. He recognized the blue skin instantly. He recognized the fence. And worst of all, he recognized his daughter's lunchbox. He dropped his cup, the sound shattering through the silent room. Ella, he whispered. He rushed to her room. She was sitting on her bed, drawing with her tablet, humming softly. Where did you go today? He asked, trying to sound calm. Just school, she said, not looking up. He knelt beside her. Ella, did you see Rena again? She froze. Her small fingers stopped moving. Why are you asking? Because... His voice cracked. Because the soldiers know. Her eyes widened. The soldiers? Mark nodded slowly. They're coming, Ella, and we need to be ready. Outside, far above the glowing streets, 3 black drones changed their flight path. Their red lights blinked in rhythm. They turned toward the southern sector, the Hensley home. Night fell quietly over Orion City. Neon lights painted the streets red and blue, but inside the Hensley home everything was dark, except for the glow of a single lamp in the living room. Mark Hensley sat on the couch, staring at the news screen. The same clip kept replaying, his daughter Ella, handing food to a starving alien girl. The news anchors debated loudly about human security, alien control, and law violations. Mark's jaw tightened. He turned the screen off. For a long moment there was only silence, until a sudden heavy knock echoed through the door. Thud, thud, thud. Ella, who was brushing her hair in her room, froze. Dad? She called softly. Who's that? Mark's heartbeat quickened. He didn't answer. He walked slowly to the door, peeking through the small glass panel. Outside stood 2 armored soldiers in dark gray suits, their helmets glowing faintly under the porch light. Behind them hovered a black drone with the symbol of the Human Guard Division. Mark's stomach twisted. They had come faster than he thought. He opened the door carefully. Good evening, officers, he said, trying to keep his voice calm. Mr. Mark Hensley, one of them said, his voice metallic through the helmet. We need to speak with you about your daughter's recent activities. Mark forced a smile. I'm sure there's been some mistake. The soldier held up a small hologram pad. The video played again. Ella feeding Rena. No mistake, the soldier replied. This violates Section 12 of the Interspecies Contact Act. We need to verify your family's involvement. Mark's hands trembled. She's just a child, he said quietly. She was only being kind. Kindness, the soldier said coldly, is not an excuse for treason. Behind him, Ella peeked out from the hallway, her small face pale with fear. Dad? She whispered. The soldiers turned their helmets toward her. The drone's red light scanned her face. Mark moved quickly, stepping between them. She's done nothing wrong. Leave her out of this. One of the soldiers stepped forward. Then perhaps you can explain something else. Mr. Hensley, we found an old military file under your name. Operation Emberfall. You were stationed in the same region where these aliens first appeared. Mark's blood ran cold. He hadn't heard that name in 15 years. The soldier tilted his head. Funny, isn't it? A former Emberfall officer's daughter just happens to befriend one of the last survivors of that tribe. Mark swallowed hard. What do you want? The soldier's tone turned sharp. We want the alien child. Now. For a moment, no one moved. Then slowly, Mark said, She's not here. Then where is she? He hesitated. I don't know. The soldier took a step closer. Lying to the guard is a crime, Mr. Hensley. Mark looked over his shoulder. Ella stood frozen in the hallway, eyes wide. He couldn't let them take her too. He raised a trembling hand. Wait, I'll show you something. Please, come in. The soldiers exchanged a glance, then nodded. They followed him down the narrow hallway to the basement door. Mark's hands shook as he unlocked it. The metal stairs creaked under their boots as they descended. The air was cold and dry, filled with the faint hum of old machines. At the far end of the room stood a large metallic capsule, dusty but still glowing faintly blue. One soldier pointed at it. "What is that?" Mark took a deep breath. "That," he said, "is why you can't hurt that girl." He pressed a button on the side of the capsule. With a hiss, it opened slightly, revealing a small alien child inside, sleeping peacefully in blue light. The soldiers stepped back in shock. Mark's voice cracked. "Her name was Lyra. I found her during the Emberfall massacre. She was barely alive. I couldn't leave her." He turned toward them, his eyes full of pain. "You call them monsters, but I've seen the real monsters, and they were wearing our uniforms." The soldiers looked uncertain now. The younger one whispered, "Sir, what do we do?" The older one spoke harshly. "We report this. Both the child and this man are in violation of interspecies law." Mark stepped closer, his voice low. "If you report it, that little girl, Rena, will be hunted down. You'll finish what we started 15 years ago." The soldier raised his weapon slightly. "Move aside, Mr. Hensley." Before Mark could answer, a sudden sound echoed from upstairs, something tapping against the window. All of them looked up. Mark's mind raced. He couldn't let them catch her. He grabbed the control panel beside the capsule and slammed his hand on it. Sparks flew. Lights flickered. The capsule hummed louder. "What are you doing?" one soldier shouted. Mark yelled, "Saving what's left of my soul." With a burst of light, the capsule released a wave of blue mist filling the basement. The soldiers stumbled back, coughing, blinded. Mark grabbed Ella's hand. "Run." They bolted up the stairs, through the hallway, and out the back door into the cold night air. At the edge of the yard, Rena waited, her glowing eyes wide with fear. "Come with me," Ella cried. Rena hesitated. "They'll come after you. Then we'll run together," Ella said. Mark looked at the two girls, human and alien, side by side under the moonlight. For the first time he saw hope. "Stay close," he said. "And whatever happens, don't look back." The night air cut cold across the empty streets as Mark, Ella, and Rena ran. The sound of boots and drones echoed behind them. Each step felt heavier than the last. The trio ducked into an old subway tunnel, its walls cracked and covered in glowing moss. The hum of the city above faded into silence. Only their breathing remained. Ella clutched her lunchbox tightly, her little hands trembling. "Dad, where are we going?" Mark looked around, scanning the shadows. "Somewhere safe," he whispered. Rena's faint blue glow reflected off the wet tunnel walls. Her eyes darted nervously. "They will come," she said softly. "They always come?" Mark turned to her, breathing hard. "You've been running your whole life, haven't you?" She nodded. "Since the fire." "Since the sky burned?" Mark closed his eyes. He remembered that day too. The day he followed orders. The day his ship dropped fire on her village. He opened his eyes again, guilt carving deep lines in his face. "Rena," he said quietly, "I was there. The day your people fell." The words hung heavy in the cold air. Rena's expression froze. For a moment, she looked like she didn't understand. Then her voice broke. You were one of them." Ella looked between them in confusion. "Dad?" Mark sank to his knees. "Yes," he said, voice shaking. "I didn't know what we were doing. They told us your people were dangerous, that it was war. But when I saw your kind, children, families, I knew it was wrong. I saved one of you that day. Your sister, Lyra." Rena's eyes widened. "Lyra?" "She's alive," Mark whispered. "She's been sleeping, hidden beneath my house for years." Rena's eyes filled with tears that glowed faintly under the tunnel light. "My sister. I thought she died," Mark nodded slowly. "You were too small to remember. But when the chaos started, your mother handed Lyra to me. She said, 'Save at least one.' I promised her I would." Rena's voice cracked. "My mother. She trusted you?" He looked down, guilt choking his words. "And I failed her. I couldn't save them all." The silence that followed felt endless. Then Ella, with tears in her eyes, took Rena's hand. "He's not like the others. He saved your sister, and he saved you tonight." Rena stared at the little human girl. The warmth of Ella's hand felt strange but comforting. Her glowing eyes softened. Why? Rena asked. Why would a human risk everything for me? Ella smiled faintly. Because you were hungry. And because you smiled when I gave you chocolate. Rena blinked. Chocolate? Ella nodded. That's how I knew you were good. A small laugh escaped Rena's lips, a mix of sadness and hope, but their moment of peace didn't last. A loud buzz echoed through the tunnel. Drones. Mark's eyes widened. They found us. Blue lights flashed at the tunnel's mouth. Voices shouted orders. Move, Mark hissed. He led the girls deeper into the tunnel, where the old system split into different passages. Rena pointed to one, her glowing hand guiding them. This way. It goes to the old colony sector. They ran through darkness, their footsteps splashing in shallow water. The sound of drones grew distant. Finally, they reached an old service door. Rena placed her palm against it, and to Ella's amazement, it glowed. Strange symbols appeared, swirling like living light. The door opened with a soft hiss. Ella gasped. How did you do that? Rena looked at her hand. It's part of us. My people were builders. We made things that could listen to our touch. The soldiers called it magic. But it's just memory. They stepped inside. The room beyond was huge and silent, an underground chamber filled with ancient machines. Blue crystals flickered on the walls and the air felt warmer here. Mark stared in awe. This is alien tech. I thought it was all destroyed. Rena smiled faintly. Not all. My mother said we left something behind, a promise. She walked to the center of the chamber where a large circular panel rested in the floor. She knelt and touched it. Symbols lit up in a spiral pattern. A low hum filled the air. The walls shifted, revealing old holograms, images of alien cities, families, and stars. Ella's eyes widened. It's beautiful. Mark stepped closer. What is this place? Rena looked up at him. It's a memory vault. It remembers who we were before the war, before humans feared us. The holograms changed, showing images of soldiers, fire, and explosions. Mark turned away, pain in his eyes. Rena stood and looked at him gently. You said you saved one. Now I save one too, he frowned. What do you mean? Rena touched his arm. The symbols on her skin glowed, and for a brief second Mark saw flashes in his mind, his own memories twisted with hers. The fire, the screams, the moment he saved Lyra. Then he saw something new, Rena's mother looking right at him through the flames, whispering, "Protect them when they come for you." Mark gasped, stepping back. She knew. Rena nodded. She saw the future. That one day your kindness would return. Ella looked between them, confused. What's happening? Rena turned to her, her eyes glowing brighter. They're still coming, Ella. The soldiers will not stop. But there's something here, something that can change everything. Mark frowned. What do you mean? Rena touched the glowing circle again. This vault holds the truth, the real history. If the world sees it, maybe they'll stop fearing us. The machines began to hum louder, the blue crystals pulsing like beating hearts. Rena turned toward them both. But once I open it, there's no going back. The ancient vault shook as dust fell from the ceiling. The walls flickered with blue light and strange symbols moved like living fire. Ella grabbed her father's arm. Dad, what's happening? Rena stood in the center of the glowing circle, her eyes shining brighter than before. They've found us. The soldiers are breaking through the tunnels. Far above, muffled explosions echoed, each one closer than the last. Mark clenched his jaw. We have to leave, but Rena shook her head. If I leave now, the truth stays buried forever. They will call us monsters again. And next time no one will be left, Mark's heart pounded. You're just a child. Rena looked at him with eyes that carried centuries of pain. No, Mark. I am what's left of an ancient line that humans tried to erase. And now the vault is awake. The ground cracked open beside them, revealing a glowing stairway spiraling downward. The hum of alien machinery grew louder, echoing like a heartbeat from the earth itself. Mark turned to Ella. Stay behind me. He reached for his plasma pistol, an old weapon he swore he'd never touch again. The metal felt cold in his hand. Then came the sound he feared most. Boots. Dozens of them. The soldiers entered through the tunnel above, their flashlights slicing through the darkness. Target confirmed. Capture alive if possible, Ella screamed as a bolt of blue energy hit the wall beside her. Run, Mark shouted. They sprinted down the spiral stairway, the light from the vault guiding them. Rena moved ahead, her glowing hands illuminating the way. Behind them, the soldiers fired again. The walls trembled. Pieces of stone fell like rain. Mark fired back once, his shot bursting in bright sparks. Keep moving! At the bottom of the stairway, they reached a vast underground chamber, half ruins, half living machine. Giant metal roots coiled along the walls, pulsing with faint blue light. In the center stood a broken obelisk, glowing with symbols that looked like constellations. This is it, Rena said breathlessly. This is the heart of memory. Mark looked around in awe. This can't be real. It remembers everything, Rena whispered. Every scream, every song, every star we ever knew. Ella touched one of the glowing symbols. It shimmered like water, and suddenly a soft voice whispered in her mind, gentle and sad. We were builders, not fighters. We gave light, not war. Ella gasped and stepped back. Dad, I heard them, Rena nodded. The vault is speaking to her. It knows kindness when it sees it. The soldiers reached the edge of the chamber, weapons ready. Freeze! One shouted. Rena turned to them. Don't, she cried. If you destroy this place, you'll destroy your own history too. The commander raised his weapon. You're lying. Your kind killed our cities. Rena's voice trembled but didn't break. No, you killed ours and then buried the truth. Mark stepped in front of her. She's right. I was there. I saw what happened. We started it. The commander's eyes flickered with confusion. You were Emberfall? Yes, Mark said, voice steady now. And I've spent every day since trying to forget it. But this girl, she's the proof of what we did. The commander hesitated. The soldiers shifted uneasily. Then from the ceiling a chunk of rock fell, smashing into the floor. The vault groaned and the ground began to split. Dad, Ella cried. The walls! Run! Mark shouted again. They dashed through the collapsing tunnels. Blue light burst from cracks in the ground like veins of energy. The air was hot, humming with power. Rena led them toward an opening at the far end, a forgotten exit that led back to the ruins above the city. But as they reached it, she stopped suddenly. Wait, she whispered. Someone's here. From the shadows, a tall figure stepped out. His armor was different, silver and marked with the same alien runes as the vault. His face was hidden under a helmet, but his voice was calm. You shouldn't be here, little one, Rena gasped. You're one of us. The man removed his helmet. His skin was pale blue like hers, but older, worn by time. I am what remains of the Guardians. We swore to protect the memory. And you, child, have awakened it. Mark stepped forward cautiously. Who are you? The Guardian looked at him with ancient sadness. A mistake your people left behind. Suddenly, the chamber above them exploded as soldiers dropped down ropes, firing wildly. The Guardian raised his hand. Blue energy spiraled around him, forming a shield of light. Go, he shouted to Rena. The vault will seal soon. Take the truth and run. But what about you? Rena cried. He smiled faintly. I was born to guard the past. You were born to change the future. Rena hesitated for one heartbeat, then turned and ran with Mark and Ella through the tunnel. Behind them, the sound of the Guardian's energy burst filled the air like thunder. The tunnel walls glowed and collapsed, sealing the path forever. When they finally emerged outside, they were standing in the ruins of an old alien temple under the pale moon. Rena looked back at the broken tunnel, tears shining in her eyes. He stayed behind. Mark placed a hand on her shoulder. He gave us time. Ella opened her lunchbox again and quietly placed the half-chocolate bar on a stone. For him, she whispered. Rena smiled weakly. He'll like that. The night wind blew softly through the ruins. Far in the distance, the city lights blinked like silent watchers. Rena turned toward the horizon. They think they can bury the truth. But soon the truth will rise, Mark nodded. Then we'd better be ready for what comes next. Dawn broke gently over Orion City. Golden light spilled across the shattered skyline, touching both the human towers and the alien ruins below. The world had changed overnight, though most people didn't know it yet. Deep beneath the city, inside ancient systems long forgotten, something had awakened. The vault of memory had sent a pulse, a message of truth, to every major network. Every screen, every device, in homes, cafes, and military bases, humans watched as old images appeared on their screens. Not propaganda, not lies, but But the real history: villages burning, children crying, alien families running from human ships, and among them, soldiers turning away, refusing to shoot. One of those faces was Mark Hensley. In the ruins above the city, Mark stood with Ella and Rena, watching the rising sun paint the world gold. Rena's skin shimmered faintly, glowing where the morning light touched her. Her eyes were calm now, not afraid. "It's done," she whispered. "The vault spoke," Mark nodded slowly. "The whole world will see it. They'll know the truth about Emberfall." Ella looked up at him, confused but hopeful. "So, does that mean the soldiers will stop chasing us now?" Mark smiled sadly. "I don't know, sweetheart. Truth doesn't always stop bullets." Rena turned toward him. "But it changes hearts." In the distance, sirens wailed. Not warning sirens, but something different. Broadcast drones flew overhead, projecting messages into the sky. Public notice: new evidence confirms that the Emberfall massacre was not an alien attack, but a human operation. Crowds began to form across the city. People pointed at the images in disbelief. Some wept. Others shouted. For the first time, the story humans had buried was open to everyone. Back at the ruins, Rena sat on a stone and opened Ella's small lunchbox. Inside, the chocolate bar lay broken in half, the one Ella had left for the Guardian. "He'd have liked this," Rena said softly. Ella smiled. "You think he's gone?" Rena looked at the sky, where a faint beam of blue light still glowed above the mountains. "No, he's part of the vault now. His spirit guards the truth." Mark looked away, hiding his emotion. He was brave. "Braver than me." Rena shook her head gently. "You changed, Mark. That's braver." A gust of wind blew through the ruins. The sunlight made Rena's eyes shimmer brighter. She touched the faint mark on her wrist, a symbol that now pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Ella noticed. "Rena, your hand's glowing again." Rena looked down at it. "It's fading. The vault gave me this light to awaken the truth, and now that it's done, it's returning home." Ella's eyes filled with tears. "You mean you're leaving?" Rena smiled, small and kind. "Maybe not forever, but my people's voices need to rest. The world has to learn on its own now." Mark's throat tightened. "You can't just disappear. You're proof that peace is possible." Rena stepped closer to him. "Peace doesn't need proof, Mark. It needs courage." She touched his chest lightly. "You already have that." The ground rumbled softly, not from danger this time, but from awakening. In the distance, the alien ruins began to glow. Blue light flowed through the cracked towers, tracing old pathways like veins coming back to life. "The heart of memory is healing," Rena whispered. "The vault's energy is spreading. It will reach the stars again, just like it was meant to." Ella ran to her and hugged her tightly. "I'll miss you, Rena." Rena knelt,